Have you ever wondered who you were in a past life? Are you curious as to why you are drawn to certain cultures, artifacts, or places? Have you ever wondered if the energetic imprints from your past life are holding you back in this lifetime? If you are like me, you may be asking yourself, just what is a past life regression surrogate? The surrogate will navigate their intuitive multi-sensory system towards your past life, even specific ones that have and still are creating negative or misplaced karma in your present life. Well, we just happen to know one. This week, please welcome our guest, Ellen Hawkins. She is a regression surrogate who accesses the Akashic records to find energetic patterns from past lives that are impacting her clients. What is past life surrogacy? It is a unique, intuitive gift where the practitioner uses his or her self as a surrogate for the client. She and her partner Paul work together clearing and forgiving energy impacting their clients in negative ways in this lifetime. She's been doing this for over 40 years and with wonderful results. Once the past life surrogacy retrieval service has been completed, it can become a dynamic and transformational moment, bringing a full understanding and freedom to the client. This is what could be called bearing witness. In addition to her healing services, she is available for speaking engagements and classes. In addition to that, she is also a writer, poet, and has written several books, including short stories, and now children's books, and has done so despite struggling with dyslexia her entire life. Welcome, everyone, to Andromeda 7, and that's your celestial gateway. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have an enlightening show for you, and we'll be speaking with our guest, Ellen Hawkins, about past life regression surrogate practitioner. And before we get started, everyone, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, all that stuff for the algorithms. YouTube loves that, and we do too. And want to thank all our new subscribers as well. Thank you very much. Now, let's welcome the panel. We'll greet the chat room, and we're going to get this party started. First of all, Bill and Paul Hawkins Kemmler, thank you for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure to have you. We appreciate you. Truth Seeker, always our pleasure to see you in chat. Chloe, love seeing you. Looks like we got a light chat room tonight, but that's all right. People watch when they watch, and we do appreciate each and every one of them. We do have a very special guest tonight. We're so excited to bring Ellen in, and Hope let us know about her and introduced us, and we've had a lovely time speaking with her and Paul. And for the moment, I'm going to pass this on to Teresa, our beautiful co-host, and she's going to tell you a little bit about it, and we'll get going on this.
Greetings, everyone, and happy Friday. For those watching now and watching throughout the night and tomorrow and over the weekend, we sure do appreciate your patronage. And we really hope you get something good out of this, because I tell you, it's very different. When Hope first told us about Ellen, she was just so animated. And she's like, she's so cool. She's so with it. You guys really have to meet her. You have to talk to her. She has children's books, too. So and then I really got into the children's book side of it first, because that, as an educator, that interested me. And I started looking at some of the books that she's written for children, and I realized, oh my gosh, she's actually introducing spiritual concepts to children with these books. Ooh, and I haven't seen a whole lot of people do that, Mm-hmm. And I've always tried to do it when I tutor kids. Try to introduce a little bit of it, being sensitive to the fact that their parents don't always like it. So I have to be very careful. And I kind of let it flow naturally. But I just thought it was so cool that there's somebody out there who's trying to do that and bring the teachings of the ancestors to our children. So that's the first thing that struck me is unique about Ellen. And then the other thing was that her descriptions in her poetry, because I connect to her poetry, because I too write poetry,
It's
although not nearly as beautiful. It's
mhm.
really nice. And
Oh,
so I really enjoyed getting into that a little bit. And then also, um, she I saw the word surrogate, and my
that
first
threw me for a loop too.
and that threw me for a loop. I'm like, what the hell is a past life? I know what a past life regression practitioner is, but what's a surrogate? I'm like, what is she having somebody's baby in another lifetime or something? I mean,
You just associate it
that's
that
like
way, huh?
ignorance, such
Mhm.
ignorance. But I've really enjoyed trying to figure it out. And so we spent a good, what, 2 hours with Ellen and Paul, her partner
Mhm.
Paul, and
Mhm.
he's the numerologist, and he's a great. I hope he sticks his
He's
head in
amazing.
and does a little head
An appearance.
an appearance. Yeah, he's a great guy too. So we just really had a blast meeting with them and talking to them. And what Ellen does is very unique, or so I thought. And I have since found a couple people out there trying to do or doing it successfully, but I can't be the judge of that. I have no comparison. But what I do know is Hope knows her. So Hope, why, I know, and after having met her, we know why you were so excited. But what were you hoping to get out of this, and why are you bringing Ellen to the group?
Okay. Well, I've known Ellen and Paul for many, many years, and they are just beautiful light workers, beautiful people, wonderful energy. And last year, I asked for one of her books and I got it for Christmas. And so I started reconnecting with her energy and reading the book and everything. And then a couple of months ago, I reconnected with her and sent her the Andromeda 7
Link?
show.
Link?
So the
Uh-huh.
link, so
Mhm.
she could see it. And then we just started reconnecting, and they are just great people. And I love her book, and I'm just so proud to have her on the show as my friend.
Well,
Well, thank you.
That's
thank
wonderful.
you for stepping up and bringing your friend to us.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
we
Lord,
greatly appreciate it. Ellen, if you would, just give us a little bit of your background, what you do, how you got started. Just give the audience a touch of Ellen, if you would.
Absolutely. Would love to. It started out when I was around 27 years old when me and Paul connected. And I would say that we are what is called twin flames
Mhm.
because we came together for the higher purpose. I mean, we love each other dearly, but I still feel like that's what brought us together because as soon as we did connect, the spirituality started very suddenly and it has developed. And everything that we do is authentic. It's not
Mhm.
something that we read or studied, it's stuff that's been given to us. And we don't take it as face value. If something is given to us, what we do is we keep an eye on it and we speak to other people. And if it checks out after, few months, then we'll start applying it. But we do make sure that
mhm.
it is something that is working. But
Sounds
Paul,
like good, strong discernment on your part. And I know that twin flame connection is super, super strong and very attracting to each other. So that's wonderful to know that.
yes. And uh, when we get into this, we usually work together. I met, even when I'm working on the past life regressions, Paul is there with me. And each time we go through a regression and go through one of the lifetimes, Paul will do a shamanic thing where he releases the karma between that person and the one that we're with. Now, he also goes back to the beginning of the beginning because karma begots karma. Sometimes we go back several different lifetimes that has led up to where it is now. So you want to forgive it all. And also, when it's done, Paul and I always make sure we close all the doors to these lifetimes because you don't want to blow the veils wide open and let everything, you know, move back and forth because that's not healthy. You want to keep it closed because when you have too much of it open, it's chaotic for the person. So
Mm.
you want to get to that point where you've released the thing that needed to be released and bless it, and then you close the doors.
Yeah, most important, I would think. Yeah, protection for the client, and also I would think protection for you as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you have to. I've got to the point now where I can work more than I used to. Used to, when I would do a lot of regression work, I would start shaking. Now I've got to the point, I think, for financial protection that that doesn't happen anymore. So that's something, like I say, you do have to protect yourself and the people around you, but it's so rewarding to find something and then you see where the person that I found it for, which I didn't talk about this before, where it is so completely connected to what is going on with them and they
Hmm.
can relate to it.
Hmm.
And then it's released. It's like, yes, I always did want to go to that place. Or yes, I always did feel like there was something going on between my mother and me. And then afterwards, the feedback. I mean, we had one girl that we worked with, and her and her father had not spoken for 7 years.
Oh,
We
wow.
we worked her, and then about 3 months later, Paul was talking to her on the phone, and she said, "Hang on a minute, I got to answer the door. It's my dad." He said, "Your stepdad?" She said, "No, my dad." She said,
Wow.
"He comes over every week now and we go out to eat together."
Oh,
S-
Oh, that's
So,
great.
that's
so through,
beautiful.
yeah, it's amazing. So through clearing that, uh, it has put lives back together. It has helped people to overcome mentally, physical things. Uh, there's so many different ways to go about this. We got our soul memory. We
Hmm.
have uh, our physical memory. We have our cellular memory, we have muscle memory. All
Hmm.
these things are memories. And once you do work with somebody, um, sometimes it's spontaneous that the healing occurs. And other times, I would say it's like a ceiling fan. When you turn a ceiling fan off, it takes a moment for it to wind down. It doesn't
Hmm.
stop instantly. And we
Hmm.
always tell the people too afterwards, if these things start feeling these things again, tell yourself that is a soul memory. It does not exist. It's just a habit that's bringing it back. So you want to, move it away from you through maybe using breath, to take a deep breath and blowing it away and blessing it. You always want to bless anything and everything that comes to you because, unbeknownst to what we think or what we judge, it's all a blessing.
It is truly all a blessing. Even the negative energy that you experience is a blessing, sometimes more so than anything. And I think as humans, we all think that it's always got to be positive and that you just don't get the growth out of the positive like you do the negative. I mean, that can change your life on a dime, so to speak.
I'm just
Um, I,
curious about something, Lori.
yeah, go
And
ahead.
he was doing this.
Sure.
How long were you doing this before you met Paul?
No, no,
No?
I had dreams, and even my dreams become more vivid after I met Paul. It's just like I
Huh?
said before, the energy coming together. Prior to meeting him, probably a year before, I started wanting to do anything. Only thing I wanted to do was read books, and these books were concerned with some of these things that we're now doing. But that's all I wanted to do. I say sometimes you'll go where the spirit leads you, and other times it'll take you kicking and screaming, but you will go.
Yeah.
It, it will happen because I think that we
True.
set it up prior,
Yep.
Yeah.
and this is where we're supposed to be.
Hmm.
And we
Yeah,
set
so
up.
you saw it as two souls coming together at the right time, which created a new spark of created energy and opened you both up to an expansion to
Mm-hmm.
help lift other frequent. Yeah.
Almost like a
Yeah.
little budding flower that just you feed it and it
I bring it up. I
grows.
bring it up because in today's new age, you hear so much. I don't want to say garbage, but that's what I feel sometimes about the misconceptions of twin flame connections and what it's really about. And it's really about the coming together and merging of all of the knowledge and aspects of one another through multiple lifetimes into one time where that energy just provides a portal, if you will, into the other realms where you can pull in all of that knowledge together and then create not only your new transformation of yourself as a couple, but also to help others.
Yes.
It just puts you in a position to be able to reach out. And I think that's what you're doing with tapping into the ancestors, but I'll be quiet. We'll go on with that.
Yes, everything that we do is we feel is a service. I mean, it is our work that we do. You know,
Yeah.
we do have clients, but still, we try not to burden anybody by how much it costs. We have to try to keep it where it's comfortable, and also we do this in our home, so there's no overhead. So a lot of times people say, well, you know, they're surprised how much the charge is, but that's the reason. And
Mhm.
and also I want to stress that we can do a past life regression and work on that. And a lot of times when I do it, I usually can come up anywhere between 2 to 4 past lives. And where I do this most of the time is in the bathtub. I think because the water, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I
well,
get that.
yeah, it's quiet, the water's
Mhm.
spirit, and I'm by myself, and it's just, you know, I can kind of go to level there, and
Mhm.
then then I get these these things that come to me. Sometimes it's just a word. I like the other day I heard a crackle, and first I thought it was like fire or something else, and then I realized it was a lightning bolt. And as soon as I realized what it was, it started telling me and showing me what was going on with the past life. And then I write those down and have them ready for the person when they come. I used to do it right when they was there, but they wouldn't have a copy of it because I can send them the copy afterwards for them so they can go
Mhm.
over it a few times. And if they got more questions, they could ask. And also, if I go through one and then we stop and discuss what we have found, it helps them link it to what is going on in their life now and where everything fits together. It kind of helps. We help them to put the puzzle together, and then they get a lot of aha moments through us sharing that. But it is so important to have understanding on my part that I see where it goes together with them, and them to have understanding on their part where they can see where it comes together. Because I'm doing this through faith. You know,
Mhm.
there's nothing I see, but you know, nothing I get, but what I'm getting. And then if they give me the feedback, it helps me. But I trust what is given to me because I always say that if I don't trust it, if I don't pay attention to what it's telling me, why would it keep speaking to me?
Mhm. Yeah.
You
Good
know,
point.
and
Somebody, you're hearing somebody.
yes, it's coming to me in a different message in a different way, but it is an intelligence to giving me this information.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I was wondering if you could share with the audience a regression that really sticks out with you that was very poignant and meaningful. That the client really got a lot out of your, and I'm sure that every reading you do, they get a lot out of it. But just something that really sticks out with you to share with the audience.
Yes, I have one girl. Um, it's interesting because she always thought that she was lying to everybody, and she did it as a child. And she said, I've always been a pretty honest person, but I would tell everybody about this life that I had used to, that I hurt myself diving, and that's the reason my back hurts. Well, I didn't know anything about this. And when I went in there, I found her as a gentleman that would dive off the, like an Acapulco, would dive
Mm-hmm.
over the cliffs.
Mm-hmm.
And what had happened is he got older and he still had a big ego and he still wanted everybody to look up to him. So he dove when he was really too old to dive and he injured his back really bad and it caused him pain the rest of his life. And when we got done with that, her back quit hurting.
Wow. You got right to
Wow.
the root of the trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it it's
Hmm.
amazing. It's
Interesting.
absolutely amazing.
Ellen, we have a question from our audience. This is Dead End Collective. I haven't seen
Uh-huh.
you in before. Welcome. Good to see you. The question is, do you think people are sometimes more interested in the afterlife as opposed to the past life? And I would imagine it's difficult at times for clients.
Well, let me see here.
Are they more interested in the afterlife or as opposed to the past life when you
Well,
deal with your clients?
well, the people that seek me are the people that want to work on past lives. That's the reason they reach out to us, and they are trying to achieve something by clearing this out. Let's say the example, maybe a parent, again, as we talked about before, they did not get along, or there's a illness. Like a lot of times we find out, like migraines, many times are death wounds. So the people that comes to me, they are looking for past lives. They're not looking for the afterlife. They're looking for that.
Oh, back up a little. That's interesting what you just said.
Yeah.
Migraines.
Oh, okay. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding. Ding,
Yes.
ding, ding.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can, I can show you another past life that is always front and center. It involved my granddaughter. She
Mm-hmm.
came over during Thanksgiving and she was having some difficulties. And we found 2 or 3 lifetimes and we cleared the energy. Now, most of the time, I only find the first name of a person. I don't try to get the first and last name. This
Mm,
particular one I did. The
mm-hmm.
gentleman's name was John Carter. And I see that he was a Confederate soldier and he was killed. Okay, we go to bed. We get up the next morning, and Lacey is waking us up. She said, "I found me." I was like, "I'm half asleep." I was like, "What?" She said, she said, "I found me." We
Wow.
went in there and looked. She found herself as John Carter, and she found where she was buried. She's buried in Tennessee, and their pictures look very much alike. The jawbones and the
Mm.
structure of it, the dark hair, everything looks very similar to now. And also, he died on her birthday, December the 10th.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
You can't make this stuff up.
No,
No.
I've done some past life investigating as well, and I noticed the similarity in the features, and mostly it's in the eyes, and there's a recognition. So I understand exactly what you're saying with that. So that makes a lot of sense that your client would experience that. And then, boy, that's when the bells and whistles go off, and things really start to make sense. And you're like, that just it's an epiphany of your own self-development. And so that's
Yeah.
why what you do for people that are not able to fully do it on their own, but like your client now, who or the one that you're speaking of, could do it to a certain degree. It's a catalyst for them as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a catalyst for them to release what is going on and also to move forward in their lives. Because a lot of times people feel very stuck where they're at, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll go to a therapist. They'll go. Not there's anything wrong with therapists.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in this particular case, when they do come to us, they have
Mm-hmm.
seeked out many different areas and arenas to try to get through this,
Mm-hmm.
and they
It's a
come to
different level.
yeah, and then they
Yeah.
come to us. Now, I'm not saying that everybody gets this in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
We're not
Mm-hmm.
a one shot wonder. Sometimes they come back at least once a month because you keep clearing out different things. And
Mm-hmm.
once you clear out enough things, then it's almost like all these shadows and all this moves away, and then they can see clearly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I see the water like dissipating the vapors in the morning off the
Mm-hmm.
water. You know,
That's a
lifting.
really good way to put it. That vapor, I love that. Bring it to a boil, let it vapor off, dissipate, and it's gone. It's finished. I kind of want to get to the panel a little bit, and Sophia, I'm going to go to you, gal. Do you have any experience in past life for yourself? Are you familiar with any of your past lives? What anything you got going on there?
I have done a few past life regressions. I had the luxury of having a stable present life, and decided to do some past life regressions. Um, and it made a lot of sense. That's why I don't like snow and I don't like the cold, is because I was abandoned in the winter time and pretty much
Mm.
froze to death along with all my comrades. So it
Wow.
explains behavior in the now, because I feel that past lives can echo into the present, like being born with a fear of water. That makes no sense. Why would you
Mm-hmm.
fear something? There's no context. And when you look at your birth chart and other aspects, you can see shadows of yesterday. And a lot of people have a lot of things to navigate in that regard. And some people, it's a curiosity. But if modern medicine is failing you, I'm
Mm-hmm.
extremely blessed to have somebody that can help with recourse. Because
Yeah.
for someone like me, a lot of what I encounter is more energetic than it is physical, but it affects that body as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Absolutely.
very nice to have you,
Interesting.
Ellen. I really
Oh, yeah.
appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, in the Bible, it says, as a tree falleth, it lays. So if you had a dramatic experience when you had death before, a lot of times it carries over.
Mm-hmm.
Like we say, a migraine can be a death wound. Uh, you could have like birthmarks,
Mm-hmm.
scars. Some people even have scars that makes no sense when the child was being born, or some difficulty that the child is going through when they are being born. Or it can manifest later on in life, but still, if it carries on and there's no clearing it, you want to get to the root of it. I see it like if somebody's weeding their garden and they mow down the dandelions, and next week, here comes the dandelions again. They pop right up because you have to dig very deep to
Mm-hmm.
get to the darkness where the
The
roots are
roots.
and
Hmm.
pull
Mm-hmm.
that out. And once you pull that out, chances are it's not going to grow back. But I do find with most people that once they clear off certain amount of things, that other things will finally emerge. It's like you clear that water and then other things can bubble up, especially if they are working on many things to clear in this lifetime, especially with families, so you don't have to come back again with a family member.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to repeat it. Sophia,
No.
you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, but it escaped me. I'll have to add on
I'm
Oh, it's all
sorry.
good.
later.
I'm
You know,
sorry.
Ellen, you mentioned the birthmark. I had a birthmark on my ankle when I was a kid, and as I got older, it dissipated. It just
Wow.
disappeared. Yeah, and I don't have it anymore. Now I have a really cool tattoo where it was, but it's gone. So that's interesting that you said that. Brian, how about you, Grandpa Brian? Have you experienced past life uh, regression type things? Anything you can
Uh,
speak up to that?
yes, I've had a couple done. I know the first time I had it done, I learned that me and my mom, we butt heads. Well, we've
Mm.
been butting heads in previous lives, and now that I'm conscious of that,
Mm-hmm.
I try not to let her push my buttons to where we're bumping heads. My father, we had a couple past lives. He's always wanted me to follow in his footsteps and what he was doing, and I
Mm-hmm.
still didn't do it in this lifetime.
Mhm.
That's
But
wonderful. I
yeah,
mean, it really is cool because you're making your own path. You're being your true authentic self by doing that.
correct.
Yeah.
I had another one done where I learned that a person that I had a past life with, we have actually experienced the same things
Wow.
as it comes to the way we died. Like
Mm.
he
Wow.
fell off a cliff, I fell to my death, and I
Mm.
was struck and hit by a car. And then in this lifetime, he was a friend of mine, and he was actually struck and killed by a car. So
Wow.
I think like me and him were supposed to experience a lot of the same
Mm-hmm.
ways of death, and I don't know why that is, but we've experienced the same types of death. It's pretty. I don't know how to explain it, but it was
Yeah.
pretty weird when I first. It took me a couple of days to actually realize after that regression what he was really telling me. Okay, then I started putting the pieces together, and it was like, wow, okay, we're experiencing the same things.
I wonder if you could
Yeah.
speak to that, Ellen, that situation where they seem to be switching back and forth or experiencing what each other experienced in the past and then again in the future. I'm curious what
Well,
your take is.
let me think on that. I haven't run into that much, but
Hmm.
I would say that in that lifetime that you were so close and there was so much going on that you decided to come back in this lifetime to maybe help each other. I think
Hmm.
maybe you were friends before and you're friends this time again,
Mhm.
instead of there being such a strife between you, there was a close bond. Because I can only see people before they're being born, they're kind of sitting on a bench together and say, well, I'll come in and help you with this if you'll come in
Hmm.
and help me with that. It's kind
Yep.
of a subtle agreement that we made prior. And
Hmm.
by doing that, um, Brian, I think it proved to both of you and enlightened both of you that there was past lives and how
Right.
it.
Yeah. Just the
Yeah.
knowledge of it.
The one that when he fell to a death, he was actually my son. So
Oh,
we had that,
Mm.
father-son relationship when he
Wow.
fell to his death.
wow.
Now I don't think we were in the same lifetime when I fell to my death. I definitely know we weren't in the same past life because he was a couple years older than me, and I was born in 52 and was struck and killed by a car in 60, and then was born into this lifetime in 66.
Mm,
So he
sure.
was 2 years older. So he was born in 64. So that was 4 years after, I passed away
Hmm.
out of that previous life. So I don't think that life where I fell, we were together, but like, and when I was hit by a car, because those actually happened back to back lifetimes.
You
Wow.
So,
just got
and then
back on
this
the horse.
lifetime, yep. And then we were friends. And then, like I said, he hit a hole, was thrown into the street, and was struck and killed by a car.
Wow.
With somebody
Wow.
like that, you can have more than one lifetime together. There could have been
Hmm.
many. And again, you guys came together to clear it out, to help each other, to lift each other up.
Hmm.
And by going it together, it came about. So
Yeah.
all
And
these
that,
thought,
Absolutely.
yeah, now he's my oldest nephew.
oh, wow.
So
And you
Yep.
he's
rec
within the family. So he's a
He's
part of
in
the
the
soul
family
group.
line.
Yeah, soul
Yep.
Uh-huh.
group. Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. Those are
and
powerful groups because you've earned each other's trust through those lifetimes. So you carry that and you come in together to experience that because you trust that spirit.
Yeah.
They
And
got your back.
another thing I just realized, we're both 33s.
oh,
Mm. That's interesting.
Yes.
It's like you're walking the
Here's
path together almost. Go ahead,
we
Teresa.
have, we have someone in the chat room, Ellen, and Chloe is our dear sister of ours and a great moderator for our channel, and we really appreciate her. And she's mentioned this a few times before. She's saying, I was told I always seemed to never make it to adulthood in the past. I've seemed to pass as a child most always. Then the one time I had a husband and family, I had to witness my entire being murdered. I felt alone.
she
So
had to witness my
cycle,
entire being what?
my entire being murdered.
Oh, okay. I
And she
felt
felt
alone.
alone.
And
She
she
felt
felt
alone. Hmm.
Sometimes we get into trying to figure out why things happen and we get into judgment. Judgment is in the mind.
Hmm.
Um, when we get into judging, it things get very complicated. Sometimes you may have come in before Chloe to help those other people that you came in as a young person and leaving. Because sometimes when a person loses a child, that becomes whatever it is that lost, took the child away, becomes their mission in life. It opens them up in there. I mean, that's what they're going to be. But if that hadn't happened, they wouldn't they probably wouldn't have went that direction. So a lot of
Hmm.
times it causes people to make completely, dropping what they're doing and going into a different area. And without you being there to help them, it wouldn't have happened.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yep.
Uh-huh.
So everything happens for a reason.
It's
I think-
almost like she has a mission to come in. Could this be possible? I don't know if you've come across this, but maybe this is what you're saying, is that she comes in for a specific period of time as a youth, as a child, to be a trigger for certain events and activities in those plans, soul plans that those people have. And then she goes out, comes back in again, and does it over and over and over. Not only, so it might not necessarily be a less, well, it could be a strengthening for her too, because she's learning how to do end of life as a child in many different ways too.
True. Yes.
Which strengthens her in this lifetime for other things that she has to face as a dual purpose of the experience. And that's really fascinating to me. And I know it's probably feeling like,
Aw. I'm glad that makes you feel better, Chloe. 'Cause, yeah,
Yeah.
I think angels come in many forms.
Absolutely. Yep. She's an earth angel.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
She said, seriously, thank you. So
You're welcome.
that resonated with her. That's awesome.
Great. I just got goosebumps.
Yeah,
Thank you,
goosebumps
Chloe.
too. Yeah, awesome. Hope, have you had any past life regression done yourself through someone else?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
boy, here we go.
Okay, so I actually had a past life regression with Paul and Ellen many, many years ago.
Okay.
And they must have done a really good job because I don't remember very much of it. But what I do remember that they released for me was a lot of trauma that I had in my childhood that I think that I had in many past lives. I do remember that they released trauma from childhood, and I did have afterwards more self-love and like more, I was just starting out with my spiritual path. So I also had more confidence in going forward with my spiritual path. And that's what I remember from them. And of course, I remember how safe and loving I felt, how loved and safe I felt when they were doing it. So that's what I remember about Paul and Ellen. And then I had a group regression with Dolores Cannon. And it was a group regression, so it was very kind of short, but I remember being in Egypt as a male. And I wrote down stuff from it and I released some things. And then later in another like festival where they have a lot of psychics, I was regressed again and I was in Egypt again.
Wow.
And I was a male. And I was killed because I fell in love with like a female priestess or whatever. And instead of her admitting that we had an affair or whatever, I was killed. So that was connected. That was connected with betrayal, not trusting lovers, that kind of stuff. So that one helped. And then I had a regression where they figured out that I had drowned in several past lives. And so I released some of that fear of drowning. So,
well, good.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. Because I've got past life in Egypt as well. So that's interesting to me. Dalibor, I'm sorry, Grandpa Brian, do you have past life in Egypt?
Yes. Yes, I have a couple different past lives in Egypt.
Wow. Awesome. Dalibor, how about you? Have you experienced past life regression? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I've mentioned it several times on a couple of the episodes. I would say I'm a textbook example of a reincarnation case because I was born with an anomalous birthmark, which was a perfect triangle, just like the Mitsubishi logo, consisting of 3 equidistant neoplasms in the direct center of my stomach.
Wow.
This has since been removed. And that was the location of the fatal wound from my 4th past life. I've been regressed twice by professional regressionists. and uncovered 4 different past lives. All of them took place here in Eastern Europe. And in 3 or 4 of them, I was a male. Only one of them was a female. And it's also interesting that I learned to speak when I was about 6 months old. And as a 6-month-old, I would, of course, speak Czech, my native language, but I will also make up words that later on turned to be Bosnian accounting and finance terms. So,
Wow.
that kind of,
Amazing.
yes, that kind of was a clue to, one of my other past lives. In one of these past lives, I was a devoted communist, and I was actually a member, a worker inside the Ministry of the Interior of the Soviet Union. And as punishment for my belief in communism, I was incarnated in Czechoslovakia to a family that suffered heavily under communism. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, I was born exactly 3 weeks and 3 days after the September 21st, 1968 invasion of Czechoslovakia. So that's the threes. Also, I was born exactly 33 years and 3 days before the destruction of the World Trade Center on 9/11, an event that I witnessed. And to top it all off, I live exactly 333.0 kilometers from the exact spot I was born. And that ties in with
Wow.
that triangular birthmark consisting of
Wow.
3 equidistant neoplasms.
Wow.
So it all ties in. It all ties in
That's
together.
cool.
And it
That's
all
Wow.
makes perfect sense. And I think I've pretty much resolved all the issues related to those past lives. And, I don't feel any emotion arising from, consciously recalling any of those experiences. And in other words, I think I'm pretty much balanced for now.
You dealt with the trauma. Yeah.
I have dealt with it.
You
Yeah.
dealt with it.
I don't have
Yeah.
any conflicts. I don't have any enemies. I
Mhm.
have perfect relations with my entire family. Uh, Perfect relations with everybody, you could say.
Yep. You're in cruise control now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cruise.
Wow.
There's another interesting thing with Ellen, you guys. That is, they do a bit of numerology as well. They break down your name. They calculate the total. And then they can tell by the number, they reduce, and then they can tell you a lot about your. Well, Ellen, tell us about that. I know you and Paul do that. Paul's very good at that.
Yeah.
He was shockingly good for us.
Yeah, that's mostly Paul's area. I know some about it. I know how to break some of it down. But yeah, each letter, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, you'll take at, and it goes in 9, and then you start over, and then it's 9 again. And each letter is a number. And then also you go for your birthday. Like I was born in 1952, and you break that down, and that would come out to the lowest denominator would be an 8. But
So that would be what, life path? Your life path?
No, okay. I would have to add February the 5th, 1952 to get the whole thing.
Gotcha.
And that goes down to the lowest one, which would be a 6.
Oh my God. Get this. My brother was born February 5th, 1972.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's cool. Very neat.
It's beyond chance. Yeah. It's very interesting.
But if you wanted me to get him in here, he could go through a whole lot of that for you and explain more detail. But yeah, it'll show up your karma lessons. It'll show up. They call it challenges, but I think they just call it 2 different things because then you can differentiate what, one comes here and one comes in the other, but they're pretty much the same. But each number, like 6 has to do with family. There's always the strong points, and then there's always what we would consider the points that aren't as strong, ones that maybe you don't want to get into. But again, that's judgment. So I think the best place to be is kind of in the middle of everything, because if you get one way or the other, it's going to pull you out of balance too much. So, family is 6. If people have issues with family and they are a 6 or a 33, like you are, Brian, usually they have back issues, which comes from the past, the family. They will have a lot of pain there. And, if you deal with it, a lot of times you can release a lot of that. um, if you got a lot of one energy and you got too much of it, you're headstrong. And sometimes, again, they'll start having head issues, headaches. They may come in with issues like that, but there's different ways that Paul can tell them how to deal with having too much one energy because it makes them sometimes a little pushy, a little overbearing. But the the thing that can be your strongest is your weakest, and your weakest is your strongest. So you can say that you're overbearing, but also I can say that you can get things done. So
Mhm.
it's depends on how we want to look at it. But if it's causing you issues of other people, you do want to look at it and learn how to work with what's you're giving in order to achieve more than what you're wanting to achieve. If you're a leader, you don't want to offend people. So one thing that Paul always tells people is instead of telling somebody what to do, which is comfortable for a person that's got too many ones, it is better to ask questions. Do you think
Mhm.
this would work?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
also, if somebody wants your opinion, they will ask for it. If
Yeah,
we jump into the middle of it,
I like that.
well, if we jump into the middle of it, we're creating issues with you
Mhm.
and that person because they're not ready for it. Maybe you are, but
Mhm.
they're not. So you have to wait till both parties are ready to do this. So if you're ready to do it and you wait till they're ready to do it, chances are you will come together and it'll work something out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sophia, did
Interesting.
you have something to add to that?
Who's that?
Just just
Did you have?
in just in heavy agreement with what's being said.
Mhm.
I'm a
Mhm.
fan. I'm enjoying this
Awesome.
show.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
Chloe does have a question. How does that work for someone like me that changed their entire name, first, middle, and last?
when you're first born, way I see it, this is my opinion or my belief, and that's all it is. It doesn't mean that that's what it is. This is the
Mhm.
way I view it, is that we choose our parents, we choose where we're going to be born, what
Mhm.
tribe of people we're going to come into, what we're supposed to learn, who our parents are going to be, what our name is, and our birthday prior to coming in, because we are setting up a formula to achieve what we want to achieve in this life. Now, if you, Chloe, if you come to it, and I don't know how long it was before you changed it, maybe that you achieved what you needed to do already, and so you started into another, or you're trying to help what you have come into, but you may want to go back and visit what your name and things were before and see if you do through a numerologist and find out if you have completed what needed to be completed because it may not feel it. Yeah, you was 21, so chances are, that that it, there could be a high possibility that you possibly couldn't achieved what you already set out to do. So I can't say for sure, but you could find out by, you know, getting in
So you
touch
could
with
do
Paul.
both. You could do both of them. You could do your given name and what that represented, then do the name that you've taken since then. Maybe compare the two or figure them out together, and then that would give you a better understanding.
It possibly could,
Mm-hmm.
but when it goes to the true vibration that you come into, that's what it is. But we do find some people, like even in the Bible, there was Sarah and there was Abraham. Neither one of them did well, and then God gave him an H and changed Sarah to
That's right.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting. Yeah, that's
So
Uh-huh.
interesting.
so
Yeah.
so he did give them a different number because H has to do with money and your foundation and things. So he
Uh-huh.
gave them that, and after that is when Sarah was able to conceive also.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
But how
yeah.
does how
Interesting.
does that work with the alphabets that have, like my alphabet has 36 letters?
Well, that's something that I would have to look into. The only one I know of is the one that I have
ASCII.
learned about. Now, you
Yeah.
may be able to get on the internet and find somebody that has worked in you're 36 and find somebody that's breaking it, has broke that down.
Hmm.
But we could look at it for you and we may be able to figure out a way to do it, but at this point, we haven't. But doesn't mean we couldn't.
You know what I thought was interesting the other night when we had our private session with you? Paul said he was also looking at the letters that were missing, the numbers that were missing in the combination, and he looked at mine and he goes, "You're missing this number 7, I think it was," and he's like, and so it shows that you have a pattern of reincarnating with your father through different, and that there's an issue, some karma that you keep reincarnating, and it had to do with, so you're able to tell by what's not there too, the omission of certain numbers of what's going on. I found that to be fascinating.
That's interesting.
Yes, like I don't have any 7s, and you go into Pentacles also, which just goes a little deeper. I don't have any 7s there, so it caused me to be very shy. I was very elusive, and also it could cause a lot of depression and trying to commit suicide. When we see that come up, we always tell people, get in touch with us when you are in the 7, if we haven't cleared it before, because we need to speak to you. Now, I have had mine cleared out.
Yeah.
So now I apply my 7, because the other side of it is it's a very good number to learn. So anytime I'm in a 7 Pentacle or 7 year, I do my best to learn something new. So instead of being depressed, I change it to doing that. And like a 9 can be a completion. So if I'm wanting to lose weight, I wait till I'm in a 9 year, because it's letting go.
Folks, this is really accurate, believe it or not, because without getting into too much detail, I've told the folks here in this program before that I recognize I'm a walk-in soul at age of 13. And I agreed to take on the attributes, characteristics, memories of that other soul, to pick up the mantle for that other soul's purpose as well as my own. So it's a double-edged challenge I have in this lifetime. But I agreed to do it because I could. And with those missing numbers, what Paul and Ellen were telling me is that, yes, there was depression. Yes, there were some dark moments in those early years between the ages of 3 and 13. And some of it dragged on, but I didn't understand any of it, because you don't remember. When you come in with amnesia, you don't necessarily remember you're a walk-in soul. You don't know this until later on. And so I had a struggle with that person's soul memories and experiences from previous lives with that figure and father figure. And there were moments of severe depression in certain things that happened earlier on. I'm glad to say mastered all that and got through all that, but there's truth to it, because when they told me that, it was like a cold bucket of water, just like, how could they possibly know this? How could anything like numbers or, I was just shocked by it. And I think, Lori, you were as equally, you're like, oh yeah. Lori's been through this with me. Lori went through those regressions with me. So It's interesting how accurate this really is. And I was just blown away by it.
Well, ancient times, like we talked about Egypt, the kings and things, the pharaohs, they had a dream interpreter, they had an astrologer, and also they had a numerologist. Those were their counsel that they go to.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
And it's very ancient, and something that's very ancient and has been carried on up to this point. The numbers don't lie. It's up to us to be able to interpret them correctly, but they do not lie.
Yeah.
They've talked about the sacred geometry a lot of times. That has to do with numbers, the vibrations.
Well, now I finally get it, you guys. I finally get it. I finally understand why the early church, early forms of Christianity were so against these practices, because it took power away from them to be the intermediaries, and it took power away from them to implement their agendas. And so now I understand. I mean, I kind of did all along when it came to twisting the meaning of scripture. That part I understood, but I never have understood why they are so adamantly against speaking with spirits, doing tarot card readings and following astrology. And it's because there's so much truth in it that you find your own divinity within and you're
Yes,
connected with the oneness.
Yeah, but
So they
it's
didn't really
exactly.
have
it's
that
ironic
connectedness.
because the church relies on numerology more so than anything else because they have specific
Yes,
dates that they celebrate
they
specific
do.
holidays on, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
they
mm-hmm.
use it. Sure, they're not stupid. They use it for their purpose. They don't want you, the commoner, using it. They want to
No, that
control what
that
you.
would give you too much control over your own life and your own communities.
Yeah, so they
Right.
do the spell casting on you, so to speak. And the
Hmm.
spell casting that they're guilty of is taking your free will and your divinity, aspects of your divine self, away from it to put dependency on their process. But now having been through this and understanding this unfolding these past couple of years, and in particular when someone like Ellen and Paul pop up and they do these things, it's like, oh my God, you can't deny it. It's just it just brings it home. It's just like it's a real eye opener. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they're
churches.
reading.
Yeah, churches are very powerful, and any organization that has a lot of too much power or a lot of power, there's always that chance of abuse. It doesn't say it's always there, but there is always chance of abuse in some form or another. And the free will, that's the biggest thing that it says before that God gave us. He puts us in a situation, but how are we going to apply it? At any given time, what happens? Are we going to see it one way or see the good in it? Or are we going to stay in the negative of it and
Right.
and fall apart? Or we may fall apart for a moment, but then if we keep seeking and trying, we will unfold something that, like you say, the lesson, the gift, the pearl that is there, the wisdom that we have been shown through this pain in this situation, because it's there if we
Hmm.
seek it, but it's up to us to seek it and believe that there is something there.
And I
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
also point out the fact that governments use numbers to manipulate us as well, or numerology. If you even look at something as ordinary as money, it has literally no text on it anywhere, but a whole bunch of numbers.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
text on, just numbers.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Well,
This is an
Ellen,
interesting.
go ahead.
First of all, this is an interesting comment, and I wanted to highlight this. Dead End Collective. I was born on the Ides of March, March 15th. Hope, don't you find this fascinating? Not much more I know about that. It's a new moon,
Oh,
or even in some cultures, a new year. Julius Caesar was murdered on that day. I like aspects of numerology. That's interesting because Hope and I were having a conversation about my father who'd passed, and he had given me a warning about the Ides of March, March 15th. So that's interesting that you're commenting on it. So I just found that a bit fascinating and synchronistic.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Teresa, you were saying?
Oh no, I can't remember now. It's okay. It's okay. I forgot.
it'll
Don't
come
forget
back.
the Ides of April
Yeah.
in the United States.
Significant on the dates. Yeah. So
Yeah.
numbers really mean a lot. They represent so much, which is just fascinating. When you really start to break it down. That session that Paul did with us was incredible. I mean, he was spot on. And that was the first time I'd ever met him. So
Yeah.
it really gave a lot of validity to what you folks do, Ellen, and the work that you're doing, which is just fantastic. And it helps
Yeah.
that surrogate aspect of your regression practitionership, helping others do what they can't do for themselves, and then getting that goal, reaching that goal of being able to help them is pretty amazing in my mind.
That's what I was going to ask.
Mm.
The 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 gifts that have come in for both Ellen and Steve for various reasons. Paul, I mean, Paul. Would you suffice? Would it be fair to say that Paul survived a near death experience?
Oh, definitely.
And
Yeah.
that particular experience opened him up hugely to, plus his connection with you as a twin.
Um,
It has something to do with his talent, doesn't it?
well, it it proved it proved to both of us that we do walk our talk. You
Uh-huh.
know, when you go through something as extreme as we did, and you can get to the other side and have forgiveness, and also not to let it scar you to the point that you cannot do anything else. That is a big thing, because it shows others that's went through extreme situations that you can move through it. It doesn't happen in the snap moment, because it jars you through so many. I think it gets through every dimension of your body. You know, all the
Right.
etheric bodies, it goes through all of those and shatters it to a
Uh-huh.
point. And but if something shattered is shattered, I don't think you could ever quite put it back together the way it was before. But maybe that was the purpose.
Uh-huh.
You
That's
know, okay,
exactly
okay,
right.
this was for then, and this piece here
Mhm.
is for this.
Mhm.
So, and it could be that, what he was going through too was something, it probably was karmic. So it cleared a lot of the karma in one stroke of a hand. And
Mhm.
that could maybe get to the point where he doesn't have to maybe come back as many times because he suffered this and this time. But
Uh-huh.
to not hold the grudge and want still for that person that did that to be okay, no
Bearing
matter
witness. Yeah.
no matter what. That
hmm
that's wonderful to be able to do that. And
Yeah. Well, if Lori's ready, I'm not sure. I'm looking at the time, but I don't know if Lori's ready for this transition or not. But there is something that has to do with your opening up and being able to. I don't know if you were doing it simultaneously or after you had been doing this for a while, and that is tapping in for your own spiritual development and growth and doing inspirational poetries and writings. And then you got into children's books. Lori, do we have time to segue
Yes,
into
of course.
that?
Yeah,
Would
sure.
you
Go
like
ahead.
to? Ellen, did you feel did how did that come about? You're taking the time out to do the creative writing and publishing and then tapping in the way you do to the ancestors to bring messages
hmm
to children.
well, the first group, the first poem I ever wrote was My Answer, and that's In the Light of My Mind. And that one, I mentioned before that I'm, dyslexic.
Yeah.
So no reading, no writing in school. It was horrible for me. And for last thing I ever thought I would ever be is a writer. So I want to witness to people that have this issue that yes, you can still do these things. It doesn't have to hold you back. It's something that if you try and work with it, it'll come to you. But this one
Mhm.
came to me unbeknownst to me, allowing it. It just happened for some reason. I would just awaken in the middle of the night and I could hear and feel this rhythm coming to me. And that's where my first poem came from, My Answer. And that was, I was 26 years old. I'm going to be 72. So that was many, many years ago. And I don't know if I even understood every single thing of it, but it showed me in that poem that no matter what is going on with me, the world's still okay. Is how I'm viewing the world. And if
Uh-huh.
you want me to recite it, I can.
Yes, please. If you have time and you're willing to do that, I would love to hear it.
Okay.
hmm
We would. We would.
Okay. But it's called My Answer. It's the first one in the light of my mind. And it told me, I lift my spirit above the confusion, high among the mountain peaks, so I can see by reality that all around me is still at peace. The problem doesn't lie in these outer things I see, but inside this costume that I've chosen to be me. It's not that the sky is a darker shade of blue or that the wind has suddenly changed its directions. It's within these eyes I see through. So forget those illusions that are fearful and crude. Let my spirit rise so I can view the true beauty that is there for me anytime, only if I choose. So again, our choice on how we want to view something, that's our power. And
Yes.
and it lift, the thing it says lifted up above the confusion, high among the mountain peaks. If we're high up there, that's where some of our psychic comes from. Because if we're looking down from up above, like if we see two cars coming around a mountain, we can view it and understand that they're going to collide before they do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we're viewing it from a different point.
Yeah.
A different vantage point. And I think that's where part of psychic comes about, is the higher spirit being more in control than this earthly lower spirit.
Yeah.
Of fear and anger. We let the other be more in control.
Well, there's something else that goes with this. Hope, flip that book over on the back panel. Can you read the paragraph there where Ellen talks about her challenge?
The beginning one?
Yes.
Not being able, okay. When we have a life experience that is our teacher, not being able to read and write was very hard in the 1950s. Is that what you want?
Yes, please.
Okay. The educational system did not know about dyslexia, so they saw Ellen Hawkins as a lazy, defiant child who didn't want to put in the time and effort to learn. They never saw all the hours she put into memorizing all the words before spelling tests. She would write them over and over again until she was able to feel how to spell them. Keep going?
Yes.
One night, when Ellen was 26 years old, she was awakened at 3 a.m. to the feeling of a rhythm. And then she could hear words coming to her. A voice told her to get up and write it down or it would be lost. So she did what she was told. That night was her first channeling experience, the poem she called My Answer. Many of her poems are still channeled, or what some people call automatic writing. Ellen thinks if we could see with the veils lifted, we would see her hand with another on top of it, writing together, guiding her hand when and where and how it is needed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hope.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So that just about said it all for me, because it's like she's taken her gifts not only to help those who need a bridge to the other side to learn until they discover their own mastery of how to tap in, but she takes it a step further through her own trials and tribulations and outpours her communications that she gets through her channeling, much like Lori does with our videos and the spirit messages that Lori puts out there. Ellen is doing it through her creative process of writing her prose and poetry, and then again by tapping into the ancestors. And you segued into doing children's books. You did a series of books that were just wholesome, good, fun, educational books, and then they moved into a spiritual. Yeah, that's
Hold it up there.
Yes.
Tell us about your Nature Realm series, because this is fascinating, you guys. She's got Steiner beat. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so cute. I love that Miss Spider one. That's cool.
Well, Miss Spider, what it teaches and what I'm teaching in that is that life goes on, the cycle of life. I'm in these, and also I usually have one of my grandchildren in there with me, so they have their legacy. But I always speak how my grandparents taught me these things before. And she was very upset when she realized that a spider would eat a fly. But if you look here, you can see that the spider eats the fly, and then the fly becomes part of the cells of the spider. And it lives on through that. There's no ending or beginning. It goes on. And if you turn a spider on its side, it makes the infinity sign, the figure 8, which is beginning and end. There's no stop. It just continue on. And then if you look at a spider, it's got 8 legs. 8, again, is the infinity. So, it teaches children how to look at these things. And the spider, it's scary. But also I teach them anything that comes to you and you keep it comes like this. The spider was outside my door, so I seen it every day. So I knew it was trying to teach me something. So I looked it up, and it says spiders, just like the web, they always complete things that they start. And after that is when I started writing, getting my stuff published. Before I was too scared to. And again, from what happened with our home invasion and Paul, I was always scared to try to do it. But once I lived through that, I was like, why am I scared to write? You know, I've lived through this. I can pretty much go through anything.
He took 6 gunshots, didn't he? Paul was shot 6 times.
7.
During that 7 times during that home invasion.
Wow.
He lived through it.
Yes.
He wasn't ready to
Amazing.
back on, but yeah.
Did he have a near death with that as well? I mean, I would think
Yeah.
being shot somebody.
Yeah.
You mean experience? He doesn't remember.
NDE?
No, he stayed awake through the whole thing until he was pretty much going through surgery. I think he tried to stay awake because I was in the house also, and you know, while it happened, and I think he was trying to, you know, be there for me, to be honest. But then he went through, you know, several different surgeries, and now the other one that I wrote about. Now on this one here, the auras, I like to always point out
this, Brian.
The sunset is that with this one, just like the rainbow and also working in this area, there's things that are unseen until you learn how to see it. With teaching children how to see auras, even into the trees and things, the lights around them at a certain time, you know, you get that sunset, that time that is between veils. That's when it's the most magical. It's between worlds at that time. And I teach children even how to do some deep breaths and then squint their eyes so that they can see it. And also that there's auras around each other and how to spot that and see it and learn what these different colors mean. I mean, this all is teaching us things about the universe if we know how to apply it. And I teach them also about lucid dreaming and how to see things in the universe, how everything is teaching us something, especially if it comes to us more than one time. It is our gift, and the same, pay attention. Pay attention. I want you to look at this. This is showing us something. And if we seek and look it up or even pay attention to what's going on, there's something there to learn. It is, we're walking through the world and it's taking us through this path. If we pay attention, it is taking us where we need to go.
Yeah.
But we have to learn how to look at it.
Yeah, exactly. I know for some people it's hard to see auras, and when I started to practice doing that, I used a candle and I could see the auric field of the flame. And I thought that was a really good way to kind of practice and get the perception and understanding of what an aura actually is. So it's fascinating that you're talking about the auric field.
Another easy thing to teach people is, you know the energy around us. If we do the certain, what is it, chromio or something, photography, we can see the energy around each one.
Yeah, like a leaf. Yeah, that's it, Jelibor.
Yeah, and then what you can do if your eyes closed, you can picture in your mind there's a ball here and a ball here of energy, and you can start tossing it. And if you keep doing it, you'll start to feel it, even plunking.
Yes.
It's a practice. You know, you learn to do this, and the more you do it, it's like a muscle.
You're feeling it with the energy. You're actually playing with the energy and feeling it on a physical level as well. Yeah, yes. Fascinating.
Now, these teachings with these books, like the Strawberry Book and the nymphs, water nymphs, you mentioned in the description that you were actually channeling, wasn't it your grandmother or your great grandmother? Teachings for nature teachings for children.
Some of them, yes. There's things that they have taught me that when I was alive that they gave me, and there's also things that's been taken from generation to generation. But just like Miss Strawberry, I'm able to go out and actually, it sounds strange, but I actually have a relationship with these different, like plants and trees.
Yeah.
But, we think that's
not strange at all.
Yeah. But they've been here so much longer than we have.
Yes.
they've learned to communicate beyond speaking. They say when we get, we're starting to understand each other telepathically. They do that, and they move at a much slower space. So if we can get in touch with them, the things that they can teach us, it's amazing. And the love that I can feel from those beings. Each one of them, I think it's a being. Each one of them is an energy that's teaching us things. If we have the heart, and if we have the drive to look at it, and if you keep looking at it, like I try to teach the children, all these things are revealed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
I just have to have the eyes to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Delabor.
A lot of these beings that we interact with, some of them are actually immortal, and most people don't think of this as a living being, but a disease is caused by a bacteria, right? The bacteria multiplies by parthenogenesis, which means that theoretically it never dies. It just divides in two, then those two divide in two, and so on and so forth. So in fact, a disease can actually be a living being that teaches you a lesson of some kind or serves some other purpose.
Wow.
Like take a break or yeah.
Do you think negativity feeds that energy, that disease?
No, not necessarily. It's it latches on to you because of a weakness that you've exhibited. You've given it the opportunity. If you provide bacteria or yeast cells or whatever with a warm, moist place, they're going to multiply. And plus, if you have a medium, like something that's based on sugar or some other like lignin or fiber, then it's going to take root and it's going to multiply. Same thing happens inside your body. You provide it the right conditions, and it does its thing. It serves its purpose, and then you get rid of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say the universe first will toss a petal at you to get your attention, and if you don't pay attention, it'll finally throw.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, and just like what you're saying there, with disease and ease, if you don't listen to it,
and they're done that.
It's going to come to a different point. But also, it could be a lesson, which again is a pearl of wisdom, what it's teaching you. And if you get through it, you can share with somebody else. Yes, you can get through these things. It's all it's all an opportunity.
True.
Just as you can talk to an organ, like I have discussions with my knees, believe it or not. And I'll say, what is it that you're asking for? What is your beef today? And the same thing out in the garden is why aren't you growing? What can I do, to a plant? I'll say, I've tried everything. And the plant goes, I'm thirsty all the time. And I went, huh? I don't get enough water. I'm thirsty. You're not giving me enough to drink.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I give you every other day like I'm supposed to. If I give you too much, it'll drown your roots. I'm thirsty. I'm like, fine. I started giving it more water, and I got the biggest damn peppers you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I listened to what the plant was telling. Yeah, so every now and then I'll connect with plants, but I will talk to my body parts. But Dalibor, I've never thought about talking to
a disease as a living being. Yeah,
yeah,
because that's what it is. It's a parasitic.
Dalibor always blows my mind. I honor you, Dalibor, because
Thank
you
you
have such an insight on things, and I'm just like, wow, I never thought of it that way. I love it. Thank you.
No problem.
But I would think that Brian, Ellen, Grandpa Brian here, he practices Reiki, and they do auric field too. They see the auras and they heal. But Brian, have you ever encountered a healing session where someone with a disease like cancer or diabetes or eczema or psoriasis, have you ever talked to the actual disease within the body? You and I have both talked about how we see blocks. We see energy blocks. It'll be a dark gray or dark color within the body, and we can actually go to certain parts of the body and see that. And then we can work on the healing around that. But have we ever encountered, I've never thought about talking to the problem itself.
Why not? Yeah.
My
It's
very
hurting.
first person that I ever did remote healing on, she had a brain tumor that was attached to the optic nerve. They removed the part from the brain, but they were never able to remove the part from the optic nerve because she would be paralyzed. I
Uh-huh.
worked on her for 3 months, and we actually got the tumor to shrink.
Wow.
And what I did was I
Wow.
went in and actually talked to the cells of the cancer
You did.
and the cells of the body, and
Mhm.
the body actually reduced the size of the cancer that was on the optic nerve.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Because see, that's like the physical incarnation of a lower vibrational entity that most religions would refer to as a demon, right? What's a demon?
Yep.
It's a lower
Oh, they
vibrational
always say
entity,
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
and it's a
Yep.
living being too. You know, I mean, and you got to watch out for demons. You also have
Now
to
the difference, though,
watch
and
out
here's
for
the
like the
thing.
higher vibrational entities too, because
Yeah.
they're not your friends either. You know.
Yeah, and here's what they do, and Dalibor can back me up on this, and so can Hope. Here's what they do in the church. They drive it out. They don't talk to it.
No.
They don't
Yeah.
send
Yeah.
it love.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't send it love. They don't try to
Yeah.
understand. They take
Mhm.
on a shield and a sword, and they go in and they go, "I, in the name of Jesus, drive you out of the." And so everything
Mhm.
that's wrong with you, everything
Yep.
that's wrong with you, is an attack.
Bam.
You're being attacked by the enemy.
Mhm.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
like, of course, if you keep setting up this division, then how do you change the energy? How do you transform it? We're alchemists, are we not?
I would
Mhm.
So
think send it love.
how do we trans
Send it
yes.
love.
No,
Yes.
not necessarily send it love. Figure out what it wants and figure out why it's there.
Yes. Yes, get to the root
Because,
cause.
like, for
Okay.
example,
Get to the root cause of these things.
cancer is usually an attachment issue of some kind. Because, what is cancer? It's a disease process where, a supposed virus, we don't really know, causes cells to multiply. Normal cells multiply into 2. Cancer cells multiply into 6. That's a key number too. So you have an overgrowth. In other words, that cell doesn't want to die at any cost, so it keeps like it's attaching constantly to that body. Well, or heart disease. What is heart disease? Well, what is the heart? The heart, that's the green. That's the emotional center of the body. So it's also an emotional issue of some kind that's not been resolved.
Yes, absolutely. I find that you can take the body and split it. The left side is female, the right side is male. Just like you, if your knee is at your left or right knee, Teresa.
Left.
Okay. So that's something that you need on your female side that you're not getting some kind of support. It's either you or some other female that's going on in your life. Um, Also, it even says in the Bible, mind your idle words. People will say, well, that person's a pain in my ass. And next thing you know that, and next thing you
They
know,
have 'em.
they
Your
wake up.
butt aches.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wake up with hemorrhoids. You
Yes.
don't want to speak it
Yes.
into being.
Yeah.
You really don't. And
Yes. True.
yeah,
I agree.
I can't stand that person. And then next thing you know, something happens to their legs or their feet. And if it's a male, it'd be on the right side and the other. But we will create these
Mhm.
different things. So if you
Well,
look at it,
it
go
was an
ahead.
injury, Ellen. It was an accident and an injury where something pierced through one side of the knee, came out the other side, and busted the kneecap. So, and I had busted ribs too. And so what's happened is arthritis has set in the old injuries, and I've been in both knees actually, but the left knee is the worst, and I just I was able to repair tissue damage in both knees, and I didn't talk to the cells, but I was talking to the knees, the bones, and I was working on sending energy, light, and frequency to heal the tissue. But I haven't gotten rid of the disease. The disease is osteoarthritis, which is set into the joint. And I just can't, unless you get a new joint, there doesn't seem to be any solution to it.
Well,
So,
you want to go to the cause though. What emotion or what thing happened in your life that triggered this to start. We go back to that.
Yeah.
Back to the accident.
Yeah. And what, you said you was a walk-in, and was that the need of the other person or yours to understand that other person or figure it all out to put it together?
Yeah,
And
two
you
different
did-
events. A walk-in event when I was 13 and a bus accident when I was 50.
yeah, but
So
still.
the knee injury occurred when I was 50.
Mm-hmm.
Saying it could have carried forward from the earlier walk-in event too?
Maybe, or it was something that was going on
Yeah.
then that you was needing some kind of support from a female that you felt. Doesn't mean it was, but you felt you were not getting.
Oh God, Lori. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know exactly what
I know what it is.
okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
It's also interesting that you mentioned those idle words that, in English, a lot of people say when they get mad at someone that they're pissed off. Well, in my language, we don't say that. We say they're shitted off. Okay. And also explains why we, in my country, have like a disproportional rate of colon cancer
Yes.
Huh.
Wow.
and cancers of the large intestine.
Huh.
So
Or you shit it off, you get constipated.
constipated, yeah.
And that causes problems with colon, exactly. And
Mhm.
if you're pissed off, you can't pee. So we do want to watch what we say.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Wow.
true.
I remember one time I hit my eye and I was like, then I turned around and hit it again. I was like, oh my God, what can't I see? My left side, what's going on? So it made me sit down and look at it. It's like, okay, let's figure this out before I gorge it out. What's going on? But
Mhm.
yeah, I
Mhm.
finally figured it out. And then you go through forgiveness, forgiving yourself for whatever caused it to start. You
Mhm.
forgive the energy, you release it, and clear it out because you don't want it to continue to do that.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
Looks
exactly
like
right.
I need another chitty
Yep.
chat with my old lady friend there. Lucy, you've got some more work to do.
Yes. Oh, see.
Just a little bit. All right. Well, listen,
Thank
guys,
you.
we're at an
Thank
hour and a
you.
half. This has just been a fascinating discussion.
Oh, wonderful.
Everyone
Well-
has added so much to it, from the chat to the panel. Ellen, we want to thank you so very much for spending your time with us and enlightening us and giving our audience more to think about. I know Chloe appreciates it and a lot of others. We're
Can you
just so
mention?
thankful. Go ahead.
Can you run it once? Through there again. If somebody wants to get in touch with us, my website is Paul and Ellen together, and on that one also it shows all the different modalities that we do, and there's a way to get in touch with us. And also, if you can get in touch with us through the Gmail, we will get back in touch with you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And all her information, and I've been posting this in the chat, that is in the description on this video. So you can just go right to the description, click on the link, upload that, do your email, and get a hold of Ellen. She would be, her and Paul are just amazing people, such great vibe, and an authentic and integral attitude is
Yep.
we came away with. So we're so pleased to have had you on the show, Ellen, and we hope that this creates some support and love for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all, every one of you.
Our viewing,
Mhm.
to our viewing audience, please, if you know someone who might benefit from these teachings or what we've discussed here tonight and would enjoy making contact with Ellen, please share out the video, share out the trailer.
And all the books are, and all these books are available on
Amazon.
Yeah, they're all available on
In fact,
Amazon.
the children's books are available on the Kindle reader.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can get the Kindle, and if you're a member of Amazon Prime, you can actually swap them out. You don't have to buy them outright, but you can swap them out. But
good idea for Christmas presents. Maybe give a young person a book. That is a great gift. So again, thank you.
The book today, and it said it would be here in 2 days if I ordered it. So it's still
nice
for Christmas. So
yes, absolutely.
Thank you all.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank
Namaste, love to everyone. Remember, choose love. The rest is cake.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Love
have
you,
a wonderful
Ellen.
weekend.
Love you.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you for bringing Ellen to us.
You're welcome, and give my love to Paul.
I will.
Yeah,
Thank you, dear.
ours too, for sure.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Take
Good
care.
night.